I'm bouncing down some stems for Sunday worship and wanted to see if the new plugin from Waves, the Curves Equator, lives up to the hype. Let's see. So I'm getting ready to do my final bounce on some stems for worship, and I figured this would be a great time to show what the new Curves Equator plugin from Waves can do. It's basically like Soothe. So what that means, if you don't know what that is it's a dynamic EQ that essentially can go in and smooth out some of those jumps and bumps in our EQ throughout our mix. But the difference between this plugin that's really cool and I'm super excited about is the learn function. So basically it can listen through AI or whatever that mystical magic is, and it can apply it to your mix. So let's jump into Logic so I can show you how this thing works and see if it does live up to the hype. Okay, so now we're here in my mastering session for my stems. So basically the way I like to do this is I like to take a bounce of the actual mix and kind of master it that way. And then I've got all my stems down here, which is the individual elements minus the vocals. That way I can kind of get a good idea, because if I just did a master on the stems without the vocal, it might throw off the mix. So we're gonna listen to the mix that I've got here, then it'll apply to the stems because I've got all of these plugins on the actual master bus. So here's my simple mastering chain for my stem sessions. So I start off with the Magma channel strip, and I've got Drew Levine's tube track lifter preset, slightly adjusted. And of course, I will adjust this depending on the track. Next, I've got the F6 from Waves, doing some EQ. After that, I've got the graphic EQ from Logic. This is the classic consoles, doing some saturation and some additional EQ. Then I've got the Ozone Imager to spread it out. Then we've got the L3 at the very end at -4 dB, which is important because that's what Multitrack says to have the final files at, or at least that's the range I've found works out for us. And then the final, which is not, this is just for metering, is the tonal balance. So what I want to do is first play back a section of the song so you get an idea of the source material.
Come, let us adore him. Come, let us adore him. Christ.
So definitely a fun up-tempo dance track. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new instance of Curves Equator in stereo. So you'll see that it's a very simple looking plugin, and although they say it's like Soothe 2, it is in a way, but in a way it's also simpler. So if we play back, we'll see that we have some metering. So the thing that's cool about this plugin is you can approach it in a few different ways. The feature that I am most excited about is this learn feature. So I'm going to hit play again and let it learn. And after just a couple seconds, it's done its learning. So it's a quick learn. And then all we need to do is apply. I will apply it while I play back. What we need to do in order to intensify or to detensify is scroll up or down on this main button. And so what I like to do is I like to check my tonal balance over here just to kind of see how intense it's actually working. I'm happy with what I see already, but that's just to show you how quickly you can kind of get to a very balanced mix, kind of with this multi-band dynamic EQ. So another thing you could do is there's some presets, which who doesn't love a good set of presets? I mean, I do. So we can filter through it this way. So I'll just select full reset and then we'll cycle through. So it's for background vocals, mid-range, de-essing for vocal, de-harsh mid-range, which is something I need often. So this is for mastering. So these sound pretty great for this context. I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to apply our own settings. So now we can see there's more of a curve now, so we can adjust that up or down. So there's some cool buttons down here that can quickly adjust. So sensitivity obviously shows how much it's actually attacking. Shape. This tilt feature is really cool. So it actually tilts from left to right. So it either let in or suppress the high or low end, depending on how you do it. So you can almost look at it like a dynamic high and low pass filter. So this suppresses the high end more, boosts the low. And of course the mix knob, which is always great. So if you find just the right settings, but you maybe don't want it all, you can just leave it. And there is an additional limiter here. So I'm gonna leave that where it's at because it's doing its auto makeup gain and I kind of like how it's sounding. Then down here is the advanced features. So this is kind of some of the compression. So we can add extra attack, we can add extra release, or obviously take it away. Precision is the amount that it's going to hit it with. Tilt frequency, we can actually decide how much the tilt is affecting where it's happening. The curve smoothness, flatten out those bumps, and then the balance is how we're panning it. So the thing that's cool is once we open this advanced feature, then we actually have the opportunity to go into each individual section and adjust the suppression rate. So we bring this up, it's letting more of those suppressing more of that frequency band. And not only that, if you turn off the advanced, you're able to go in and manually EQ just as any other dynamic. So there's really so much flexibility here. So let me turn it off. So I'm going to do another learn just to get back on the same page. So my high mids is a little high, but honestly the range, but let's go here to the advanced. Let's pull this down a bit more. See how that affects it here. That's great. So as you can see, we've been messing around with this for just a couple of minutes, and I'm going to do an A/B of bypassed and not. So here's off. And on. One of my favorite parts about this plugin is it's very transparent. It's not anything that's overly dramatic. That's one of the things that with Soothe 2 is it's a great plugin and I use it all the time, but it's a lot more obvious when you use it. I feel like with this plugin, it's doing a great job just kind of cleaning up some of those things that might kind of slip through the cracks because you're not hearing it as well. It just cleans up some of those areas, and due to the flexibility, it allows you to really go in and do as much fine tuning as you want. But with that learn feature, I mean, it's such a great starting point to kind of understanding where you're at. So does the Curves Equator live up to the hype? I would definitely say yes. I'm a big fan of things that are simple to use when it comes to the studio because there are so many variations of plugins. There's so many things to do. And as you can see, I have a very simple mastering chain here. And again, I'm primarily using this specific mastering chain to bounce stems down to use them during worship. So it's not necessarily the final released version of the song. However, it's the thing that the band and the church is going to hear when we play these stems. Being able to throw on this simple plugin, find those kind of weak spots in the mix, adjust them quickly. It allows me to get stems prepared quicker, more professionally, and sound the best they can in order to be a part of our worship services. And I want to know, have you used this Curves plugin? Have you used Soothe 2 or another dynamic EQ? Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.